Our role is very simple. We try to understand what the Russian position, how much can they give and what do they have to have. We understand the Ukrainian position, and we try to find whether those two things can overlap. Maybe that happens this week. Maybe that happens next month. Maybe that's not ready for a few months. That's not up to us. That's up to the two sides. In the end, it's up to them to make a deal. We can't force Ukraine to make a deal. We can't force Russia to make a deal. They have to want to make a deal. The role we're trying to play is a role of figuring out whether there's any overlap here that they can agree to.
In this entire goddamn bloody mess of a war in Ukraine, it has never been more obvious to me by now that so few people have screwed up so much for so many. What you're watching in Ukraine is not a strategy. It is not heroic. It is just inertia. It is institutions failing in slow motion while ordinary people are fed into a meat grinder. This is a brother against brother war. People with shared history, shared bloodlines, shared culture, shared language. They are reduced to trench warfare that looks more like 1917 than the 21st century. Mud and drones and artillery and amputations and mass graves and torture and nightmarish conditions. For what? And now after this time, Washington, D.C. is saying, well, we can't force peace. Okay, but let's be honest about what that really means, because it means nobody with leverage is willing to pay the political price to end it. Because wars don't continue because they're inevitable. They're not inevitable things. They continue because powerful people decide the cost of stopping them is higher than the cost of letting people die. So we have diplomats continuing to talk, State Department keeps issuing statements, think tanks are running simulations. Meanwhile, men are freezing to death in trenches and families are being erased from the map. If there is no mechanism to compel an end to the war, whether it's economic or diplomatic or political, then what we're really saying is that this war is allowed to go on indefinitely. So to me, this doesn't show the neutrality of mediation from Marco Rubio. It shows more like it's abdication of responsibility. They swore that they could force an ending to that atrocity, and now they're saying they can't. The grift goes on and the war machine keeps eating our future. History won't remember these press briefings, but it's going to remember that this went on far longer than it ever had to.